Okay, hang on. I'm gonna share.
You are listening to the We Are Not Safe for Work podcast. Your hosts, Renee and Nadja, will dive into all the different reasons why some entrepreneurs become unemployable.
And bam.
Bam. Bam. I don't know where that came from, but bam. Right before this, guys, she told me she has another call at 2:00. It's 1:14. So we're going to speed through this. But I also just want to protest whatever call is next because that is inconvenient for me. Because I have not had enough time with Nadja this week.
It's been a week.
It has been a week.
Yeah.
A week of I don't even know what's going on at this point.
I know.
More hallucinating than anything, I think. So yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So, okay. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I am alive and I'm great and everything is wonderful. And that is not sarcastic, even though it probably
I
sounded
was gonna
that
say
way.
that sounded a little sarcastic. Like I don't know how
No,
much I
I
believe
just
that.
it's true. I mean, I am trying to get up early and
Can you
I am not an
share with the
early
class
person.
a little bit about your crazy getting up early BS?
Sure.
Okay.
I am the opposite of a morning person. Take the worst morning person that you've ever known, and I'm like 10x that person as far as mornings go. I'm really, really physically not wired for mornings. Like, my best sleep is between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m., but I am not getting enough done. Our business is in a questionable spot and we need to get more done. I need to increase revenue somehow. And the only way that I could possibly do that is either by a moment of serendipity, which I have never had serendipity in my life. I'm just not a lucky person, or I can work more. So, since I can work more and maybe that'll lead to some serendipity, I decided I'm going to start getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I tried 5. 5 was way out of the question. Start getting up at 5:30 in the morning just to give myself more time in the day. And I'm going to try it for 100 days and see what happens.
It's just such an ungodly hour.
It's ridiculous. It's horrible. It's ridiculous. Well, it's not. I have gotten so much done this week already. It's unbelievable how much more I've gotten done. Because for perspective, I normally don't get up until 8:30, and then I get up and we normally have coffee time for about an hour, and then I get in the shower, and then I, do some house chores, and I hit my desk, best case scenario, between 10:30 and 11. Okay?
Okay.
And so what we're doing now is Andy's in this with me, and we're getting up at 5:30, or at least as close to it as possible. Today it was 5:40, 5:35, I guess, really, because the snooze went off, and then we got up for 5 minutes later. So 5:35, I guess.
Okay.
Had coffee, and the whole plan is, and when I say had coffee, I don't mean coffee time, not the traditional where we hang out for an hour and talk. Literally hit the button, waited for the coffee to brew, got the coffee in the cup, and I came upstairs in my pajamas because that's part of it. I'm not doing anything else besides going to work.
Okay.
So I am getting a shit ton of work done. But I'm also at one point yesterday, I went downstairs to get some more coffee, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw this plant, this like olive tree that we have in our living room area. I thought it was Andy, started talking to it. Realized it was not Andy.
You started talking to a plant?
I
Not
did.
even a real plant, right?
Not even a real plant. Yeah. So
Are you sure that's a good idea?
that's what Andy's like. I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't want you to die. Yeah, so I'm having little moments like that, but I'm like, okay, I gotta give my body a chance here. Can I adjust? I don't know. I'm
Oh
just
my
trying, man.
goodness.
I'm just trying, you know?
Well, at least you're trying something. And like honestly, kudos to you guys for trying something different. And just as a get at like a flat disclaimer, this doesn't work for everyone. There are some people
Yeah,
that they try to do the early rising thing because apparently that's what successful people do or whatever, but their circadian rhythms just aren't set
that's
up
me.
that like
Yeah.
your motive or not even motivation, like your energy levels, your natural energetic and productivity levels, um they rise and fall at certain times, and there are some people that it's just not early. So if it can't work for you, like don't feel bad about yourself. That doesn't mean
And
that you
that's the
won't be
thing.
successful.
I am just trying this. And let me explain how I got here. Um, I feel like I was with my hands just now. I was like Kamala Harris. Is that a lot? Um, this is what I mean. I'm struggling, but I'm getting so much done at the same time, or at least I think so.
Hmm.
Um, no, I really am. But how I got here is this. I need to work more hours, okay? But there are certain truths to being a human adult that owns a house and is married, okay? My wife works a day job, but from home.
Hmm.
Um, we have committed to walking our dogs most days, and we have to eat food, take showers, at least sometimes, you know.
Yep.
Um, that you got to sleep, you got to have a little bit of time with your spouse, right? So there's all these things that fit into life, and we're fortunate because our kids are already grown. So at least there's not that, right? But I mean, okay, so I just told you what my normal morning is like. I wake up at, between 8 and 8:30. She has to
Hmm.
go to work at 9 in theory, and then we have
In
coffee time.
theory.
Yeah. And then well, she's supposed to. And then after coffee time, I take a shower and then I clean the house and then I come up to my desk, and then about an hour later, roughly, we take the dogs for a walk. Then I have my extended desk time, and then I have lunch between 2:30. I swear I'm going somewhere with this. And then I work until roughly 6:30 because by then we're starving for dinner, which means
Hmm.
one of us has to stop and make dinner. We also try to have an evening meeting. So usually we try to do that before dinner. So an evening meeting, let's just say best case scenario, that goes from 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's assuming she gets off work on time, right? And then from 7 p.m., we have to make the decision. Are we going to do a grown-up walk? A grown-up walk is a walk without the dogs because a dog walk is not a
Oh,
walk.
okay. I was like a grown up.
Yeah, this is where the grown-ups have to have some time for their health and time
Sure. Yeah.
together. And the dogs don't understand this, but a dog walk is just a take 3 steps, sniff something, so there's no exercise in it,
Yeah.
right? So we try to take an exercise grown-up walk, and the dogs take this very personally, but we all work through it as a family. And so then that's usually done by 7:30 because if we do it after dinner, we don't really want to do it. You know, we
Yeah.
have to do it before dinner. So then you cook, all right? And so cooking like from 7:30 to 8:15ish is cooking, all right? And then you eat the food, and that doesn't take very long, but still by the time we're done with all of that, it's 8:30 and we haven't even cleaned anything in the house yet.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's your life like? You know, it's like, so point being is by the time it hits 8:30, the last thing I want to do is put in some more hours of work.
Yeah.
I don't have
Which
that
is
in
fair.
me. Yeah. And so usually that's when I transition to TV. And so then it next day get up, starts all over again. So how do I squeeze in more time for work?
Hmm.
Well, the only thing I could come up with reasonably was to wake up earlier and go to work right away,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yeah,
Because
that makes
even
sense.
if I woke up at 8:30 and skipped coffee time and went right to work, at some point I need to clean the house a little bit
Hmm.
and, I need to shower. So I can't think of a better way to fit in more work, and I have to fit in more work or we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, let's say from what time do you stop working most days?
It depends. I mean, I have a lot of interruptions throughout my day.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes I can do deep work and get everything I need done within a 4 to 6 hour like block.
Mm-hmm.
But other times we're talking like 2 hours here and then I have to go do something else and then I'll pick it back up and I'll work for an hour and then I have to go do something else and then I'll pick it back up and I can work for 45 minutes. And
Yeah.
so I mean, I don't really have a set schedule.
Mm. How about Lance?
Well, it depends. Like, does he have a gig? Is he in the shop? Is it a regular like office day?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, see, I definitely think my life is a little, because of my circumstance, probably because of my age, it's a little more structured, you know?
sure.
Like, um, not having kids at home. When I had a kid at home, this was wildly different, you know?
Mhm.
Speaking of that, my kid will be here in a few hours today, so we're excited
Ooh.
about that. Yeah, I know. Um, anyway, so that's why I am trying this morning thing. I don't know how it's going to work out because, like I said, I am talking to plants that are not alive, but I am trying something just to see if it leads to something,
Yeah.
and we'll see how it goes. One
So do
tricky
you
thing.
Oh,
Go
what's
ahead. What
that?
were you? Well, like Andy and I were talking about this since this is our first week. Do I also do this on the weekends to stay consistent with my schedule, or do I sleep in on the weekends? I think I have to stay consistent.
I mean, I think over time it'll become a consistent thing. Um, but just like with any habit, it all depends.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe next time I record, I'll have given up. I don't know.
Well, what do you think that you're going to do? Like, do you think you're going to continue it over the weekend just for consistency's sake
I
or
think so.
okay.
Yeah.
And again, all the more power to you for even attempting this in the first place.
Yeah.
You're sighing like,
Well, it's not easy. It's hard.
yeah. I mean, isn't that that's the point though? To
Yeah, I
challenge
guess so.
yourself, like push yourself out of your comfort zone. This is definitely outside of your comfort zone because like you said you're not you're not like a big early morning person.
No,
So,
not at all.
yeah,
Okay. Now, with that out of the way, let's watch this video.
share your sound.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay. So this is a video with a debate about the future of AI. It is long. It's very long. And there's a lot to take in this video. We're not going to watch it all. Obviously, it's 2.5 hours long. I'd love to do that. In my best case world, we would do that. We would just start at the beginning, and you and I would just watch it and comment, watch it and comment, and watch it and comment, watch it and comment. I think it's one of the most important conversations I've heard about AI, maybe ever.
Mhm.
So I strongly recommend that everyone actually sit down and watch it. It's like watching a movie, 2.5 hours, right?
Right.
But regardless, we're gonna watch a piece of it. And um, so let's see what happens.
Okay. Can't hear it.
Really? I wonder why. A shared sound. Okay, let's try it again. Share sound. Click Chrome. Share. Do you think it's because I have my earbud in?
That shouldn't make a difference.
Thing that can technologically surpass it
You hear it?
without any of the preconditions that make that a safe process. So yes, we've revolutionized the world how many different times? It's innumerable, but we've made farming vastly more efficient. That's different than taking our core competency as a species and surpassing ourselves with the product of our labor. I think your question is a good one. Then what does become?
We only have one thing left. We have our muscles, which we got rid of in the Industrial Revolution. And then we have our intellect, which is this digital revolution. Now we're left with emotions and agency. So we essentially, the agency idea, I think we used to judge people on IQ, and now IQ is the big leveler. And now going forward for the next 10 years, we're going to look at, are you a high agency person or a low agency person? Do you have the ability to get things done and coordinate agents? Do you have the ability to start businesses or give orders to digital armies? And essentially these high agency people are going to thrive in this new world because they have this other thing that's been bubbling under the surface, which is
really interesting. When you said agency is going to remain as an important thing, we're sat here talking about AI agents. And the crazy thing in a world of AI agents that have super intelligence is I can just tell my agent, listen, I'm going on holiday. Please build me a SaaS company that spots a market opportunity, throw up the website, post it on my social media channel. I'll be in Hawaii. And this new agentic world is stealing that too, because now it can take action. In the same way that I can browse the internet, I can call Domino's Pizza, speak to their agentic agent, organize my pizza to be there before I even wake up. And in fact, predictability, OpenAI now learns, and Sam Altman said that they've expanded the memory feature. So it knows it's knowing more and more and more and more about me. It'll almost be able to predict what I want when I want it. It'll know Steve's calendar.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it there. What they were saying here, I think, is so critical, and I really wanted to get your take on it because we gave up our muscles during the Industrial Revolution, right? And I had to really think about what that meant. At first, I couldn't quite understand what they meant, but I heard this thing in this video about before the invention of the tractor, it took 100 men to plow the field. And then the tractor was invented, and they just needed 2 people to run the tractor.
Right.
So suddenly, and running the tractor didn't require muscle and strength in the same way that plowing the field did. So we reduced the amount of people required, and we reduced the need for our muscles. So we keep having these evolutions of in progress, and I'm going to say the progress of work in this case, that it keeps reducing the reliance on our human abilities. And the agency thing, I can't stop thinking about it because it's true. If the AI can do things, like right now, I can tell you that I think I'm a perfect example of this because one of the things that I'm doing with this extra hours of work, because I'm averaging an additional 4 hours a day of work, actual work time now because of this transition this week. I have been basically using AI to help me create information to pass to my assistant so that the assistant can do the work. So we're increasing our output because I'm using AI up front to help me think through what do I want it to be, what should it, what would be a good design for this, or what would be a good structure. Not that the AI is doing the work, but it's helping me decide what is a better version of the work. And then I can compile that information and put my spin on it, my personal touch on it, and then pass it to my assistant who can then do the work. Yeah. And so I have the ability to manage all of that almost like a conductor, right?
Right.
And I don't think most people think in that way. And if you don't think in that way, I don't know what the future of work is going to be for you, because in this video, another thing that comes up is one of the things that we always think to ourselves, or at least comes up in conversations that I've had a lot, and obviously in their conversations too, is, well, at least there will always be work for plumbers. And they said that's not true, because soon a robot will do a better job of crawling under the house. Maybe they'll have to dig under the house to fix the pipe, and a robot could do that much better than a human will be able to very soon, and cheaper, and without potential injury.
It's just like that, it was on TikTok. We shared it, and I'll add the link in the description for our back and forth about it. But it was specifically about the automated tow truck, or the automated car parking in China.
Oh, right. Yes.
So you remember, like, my first reaction to it was, oh, this is really cool. But then, like, right after the, oh, this is really cool was, okay, but what does that mean for
Tow truck
like tow truck
drivers.
drivers, or even like parking attendants, the people who had that job, now they don't need as many people to
Right.
monitor these little robots that can come along and like slide underneath your tires and then go park. So, what they're talking about is they're able to increase the capacity for these parking lots, because instead of like depending and relying on people depth perception, like pulling a car into a spot or whatever, now they have these little parking Roombas basically, right? and
Yeah.
and they can park them like right up next to each other without making the cars touch or hit each other, because they're using math and all of the AI algorithms. I don't know how any of it works. But it was really cool and also really scary to see all of that.
Well, it is. And I put on Facebook yesterday, what was it? Okay. Um, I always get all the various robot companies confused. It was, I guess, one of Elon Musk robots, Optimus, I think is what
Okay.
it's called. And it was doing this dance. And at first I was like, who cares? I know that you're fascinated by the robots. Andy's fascinated by the robots. I just haven't been able to care. And, but I saw this robot dancing yesterday and it hit me for the first time what you guys have been seeing through all of this, I'm sure. And
Mm-hmm.
I realized I'm looking at a dancing robot, but CEOs are looking at agile workers,
Right.
physically agile workers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why have a overnight um, uh, stalker at
Yeah.
Walmart
Mm-hmm.
that gets tired, is unreliable, could possibly hurt themselves? Um, why have a human working overnight stocking the shelves at Walmart when you could just have some robots do it? Plus,
Mm-hmm.
they can lift things real tall and without having to worry about back injuries or any of those things.
Right.
Why have a human do that work when next year these robots will be available?
Well, and also like those overnight shifts, not only are they undesirable because, overnight shifts suck, they're also dangerous because
Yeah,
it goes against the natural circadian rhythm
that's right.
that we were just talking about
Yeah,
of
yeah,
people. And there are statistically way more accidents and injuries occur with shift workers or overnight workers than daytime. And it's because of that. So if they can cut the costs, because A, it's not as safe, B, it's undesirable. Shift workers typically get a premium pay. Like they get
yeah,
additional because it's an undesirable shift to work.
yeah,
So if they
yeah,
can
exactly.
if they can use robots or AI or whatever, androids, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
not people,
Right.
to do those jobs, and they don't have to pay them extra. They just have an upfront cost of, a new tool that replaces the person. Then
Yeah.
yeah, I can see businesses really thinking about jumping all over that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, because even if the robot, let's just say every robot costs $50,000. I don't
Hmm.
know how much these robots are supposed to cost.
I have no idea. I'm sure it's a
Yeah.
lot more than that.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's say that you are Walmart and Walmart has a lot of stores, right? So let's
Hmm.
say that they're going to buy 10 per store. They might get a good deal. How much is Optimus robot cost? Okay, so probably between $20,000 and $40,000 is what they're expecting to sell them for.
Okay.
So probably the average stalker at Walmart, if I were going to guess, is making probably 25,000 a year.
Yeah.
It's not a high paid job, right?
Right.
And I'm just speculating. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
But let's just say that's true. So if they spent $30,000 per robot already, by the way, there's no taxes on robots, right? So you're not going to have to pay employee
Yet.
taxes. Okay, there's no employee taxes on robots. I hadn't even thought of that until this conversation. Healthcare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Time off, not going to be a thing. Robots probably so far don't want to go on vacation. They
Well,
don't
I
get
think
sick.
so for the time off and sick thing, I think that's more of a parallel transfer because there's still maintenance. Like there's
Sure,
wear and tear, it'll break down. Um, Repairs are needed. So
that's
I think
true.
there's a parallel instead of a jump, like an increase or whatever in that. Or benefit. That's what I'm trying to say.
Would you spend $20,000 to get one in your house to clean your house for you?
If I knew it wasn't going to try to turn around and kill me, sure. I
Yeah.
mean, haven't we already? Like we have a Roomba.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a
Yeah,
cleaning robot.
it is. Kinda. It
We
doesn't, mine
have
doesn't do
we
great,
have
but yeah.
air purifier.
Yeah.
Like that is a machine. The- Yeah, we're using machines to replace. I mean, even vacuum cleaner, just a regular upright vacuum cleaner. What was the solution before vacuum cleaners? You had a broom or you had a dustpan
Yeah.
and a little brush and you had to manually do that.
I heard something else interesting in this. Um, I may not get the dates exactly right, so forgive me in advance. But if you had gone to the year 1900, and you saw, they put up on the screen two pictures. One was like 1900 and some city, I think it was New York City,
Okay.
and it showed all these horses and carriages and people and humans, right, going down the
Hmm.
road. They took a picture in 1920 something from the same position, and there were no horses, and it was cars.
Hmm.
And and one of the guys in this video said, if you had gone to a horse and say in like 1900 and said, "Hey, dear horse, do you feel secure about your job as a
Hmm.
horse?" The horse would have said, "Of course I do. I've been working with humans for tens of thousands of years, side by side. I am the assistant to the human, and also I outnumber humans 3 to 1 because they need multiple versions of me
Yeah.
to operate in this way." But if you just fast forward 20 years, the horse couldn't be found on the streets at all. And suddenly they're
Hmm.
building streets for cars instead of horses. And this guy said, "We are the horse in this
There.
story. We are
Yep.
the horse."
Yep. Yeah.
And now I say all of that, and it sounds like I'm just so pessimistic, but I am so damn excited for what is about to happen. How do you know how rare it is as a human to get to live through a new age of time? We don't
Yeah.
get this is not just like this is not the same as computers coming into our lives. This is a new age, a new, I believe that a new being of existence is being created, and we're here for it. We get to see
Yeah.
it happen. And yes, I don't know what that's going to mean for us humans. It's probably not good, but it is damn fascinating to be here for this. And
You
we
know,
get to podcast about it.
yeah. Well, and it's interesting, like something that they had mentioned in the beginning is that like the goal is always to surpass what we have already achieved, right? And
Yeah, we can't help
so
ourselves.
we can't help ourselves, but we don't know what that looks like, right? Like, to kind of go
Yeah.
back to your horse story, there was an artist from the, I think it was like the mid to late 1800s. An artist had like drawn little cartoons, I guess, or just images. So an artist drew images of what he expected technology to look like in the future.
Yeah.
And one of the funny things that was there was it was a picture of a horse on stage, like on a stage, um, and then there was a banner behind, like above it, that said like rare curiosities,
Oh,
because in
wow.
his head he was like, well, the future of technology, or the future of future, means that because we're so dependent on horses right now for transportation, in the future horses are going to be rare and an oddity, because not everybody will have it. But you know what, he was kind of right, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
horse riding. I mean, you and I don't have horses in our backyard. Like, we don't have
No.
a horse in our
No.
garage.
No. No,
Like,
that's funny thought. Yeah.
right?
No.
But that's, so that was one of his future projections. Another thing that this artist had come up with was, uh there was a lot of like underwater scenes. So
Oh.
in his head, the future consisted of underwater civilizations. Like, we would have cafes underwater, and
Interesting.
you would have basically like a deep sea snorkeling thing that allowed you to walk around in your normal clothes. And by the way, it was hilarious because we're talking, late 1800s, so Victorian style, like
Yes. That's
dresses and
funny.
things like that, in his pictures, with these like, not scuba, but like the big round metal
Yeah.
underwater. And then they're just sitting at a cafe that's underwater. So, because at the time, underwater exploration was way more futuristic than space exploration. So there wasn't a thought of like, oh, we're going to go to space. No, it was, we are going to explore the deep sea and we are going to colonize the deep sea, and we're just going to live there like we do on land. Um, but that was a really interesting
That's
concept.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to find that series of artwork, and I'll share it also in the description,
Okay,
so
cool.
that you
That
can
would be
check it out.
great.
It's so fascinating. It was so interesting to
Yeah.
see because, again, it's like the things that they were thinking of that were futuristic, looking at it now, with the technology and advancements that we have now, you look back on that and it's like, oh, that's cute, like what they were thinking. But if you really look at it, it's like, but some of this is true, like there was another picture of, it was a boat, like a ship,
Yeah.
but it was like, it was a floating boat. So it had like big blimp style thing. So he's thinking about air travel,
Oh,
but like,
but he's associating it to a boat because that's what he had. Yeah, that's his.
yeah, so it's a ship that's like air travel, right? So
Yeah.
again, we don't know what the potential is. We don't know what it means to surpass what we already have,
Yeah,
because
and I think
it's
too,
limitless.
we can't imagine what the new jobs are yet
No.
because we can't imagine beyond what we know currently,
Hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, I thought it,
Blacksmiths. Look at blacksmiths. Before, that was a high demand job. Like, if you were a blacksmith, like you were made, you had it made. You always had clients, always had work. You were pretty well respected as a blacksmith, right? And nowadays, a blacksmith is it's a it's a skill, it's a talent, it's like a
it's
hobby.
niche. Yeah. I heard a good example too, because blacksmith, good example. Um, Imagine going back even to like 1940 or 1950, which is a long time ago, but still not too terribly long ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And telling someone from that era that you are gonna that you have to go meet with your personal trainer, and they would look at you like, you're what? And you'd be like, yeah, so I sit all day most of the time for work. And they would be like, are you okay? Right? That'd be their first thing. But then and then you say, yeah, so I don't get enough exercise and I don't want to have to do it by myself. And I definitely don't want to do it at home. So
Mm-hmm.
I hired someone that I pay a lot of money to, and I go to this place called a gym, and I work out while this person encourages me emotionally the whole time,
Uh-huh.
right? And tells me exactly what to do and how many times to lift the weights. And every time I do it, they tell me how good I did or how I
Mm-hmm.
can do it better.
Yeah.
And that job did not exist back then. And now it's a respectable job for someone that if you hear they're a personal trainer, you're like, wow, you must be really, in good shape. You must know a lot of good things. And it didn't even exist. And it's beyond the ability of someone from that time frame to even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's so many things that we can't even begin to imagine right now that are going to come up during all of this. Is
Right,
the
right.
current time going to suck? Hell yeah. This is going to be some rough shit. This is going to be hard. We're about to hit some really hard times. And most people don't even know AI still exists yet. They don't have any understanding of most of this at all. I reached out to my mom yesterday and I said, hey, mom, is AI coming up in your conversations or on the news that you watch? She's like, what? And I said, and I repeated, it was text. So I tried to explain it in a different way. And she was like, no, why? And I said, I just wanted to know. And she's like, is it impacting your job? And I was like, oh, mom, it impacted my job 2 years ago. Yeah, it's definitely impacting my
Right.
job.
Yeah. I was gonna say
Yeah.
no, that's old news.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's old news. And she's like, well, is it impacting Andy's job? And I was like, oh, yeah, definitely impacting Andy's job. And I said, but that's not why I'm asking you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I was asking you because I just want to know if it's coming up in your conversations at all. She's like, no, never. I never hear about AI, think about AI. I don't even know what you're asking. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, cool, that's it. That's all I wanted to know. And I'm starting to ask people that question more and more often because so much is advancing and happening between AI and quantum computing. And I just
Mm-hmm.
don't think the average person, is experiencing it.
Yeah.
So it's going to
Yeah.
be rather shocking.
Yeah.
Um,
Ugh.
but I, again, feel optimistic and excited.
Yeah, and it's hard not to be optimistic and excited and, have curiosity for what is coming up and how technology is going to change and everything like that. But I guess the pessimist in me or the cynic,
Hmm.
there's always that little voice at the back of my head that's like, how can this be turned against us? How can this be used for
Oh,
not good?
man. It's not. Klarna. Is it Klarna? I think it's Klarna. I don't know. I keep getting the name of this company wrong. Some buy now, pay later
Oh
company.
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
are you talking about like for shopping?
Yeah. Um, it has reduced their staff by 40% because they laid off a bunch of people
Hmm.
and then they stopped hiring people. So by natural attrition, they've now reduced staff by 40%, and they have brought on AI agents to replace all of these people. Now, Andy told me this morning that that's all true, but also they're now trying to hire back a few humans because they
Mm.
realize that the AI agents still need to be trained a little bit better. So they're bringing humans back not to say, hey, we'll have less AI agents, but hey, we're going to bring you back so that you can train these agents better, and then we'll let you
Mm.
go again.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that
Yeah,
sounds about right. Yeah.
yeah. And that's, by the way, over 7,000 people that have lost their job.
That's so many.
Yeah. And that was just one thing. I mean, Microsoft just announced a layoff. I think it was 5% of the company they're laying off.
Hmm.
I just keep seeing it everywhere. And
Well, have you seen the stories of, okay, so I because I'm strange and I like to follow strange things.
that's
So
why I like you.
there's a subreddit that I follow it just because it makes me curious about what people are experiencing in the job market, right? It's called
Oh, mhm.
Recruiting Hell. Okay.
Oh, that's a
So
great
the
name.
subreddit is called Recruiting Hell. In the past month, so the past 2 to 4 weeks, there has been an increase in people sharing their recruiting hell experience on job interviews where they think like they got all dressed up and like it's a virtual job interview or whatever, and then a couple of minutes into it they realize that they're having a job interview with an AI.
I keep hearing about this.
Yes.
That is so strange and bizarre.
And it's almost, to me, I'm like, I would be offended. It's like, here I am taking time, my personal
Can I send
time.
my AI to do the interview for me?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Can I just send my AI, like my assistant? Because that's, and what does that say about your company culture too? Like that, oh, so as soon as you can find an AI or train an AI to do the job, then you're going to get rid of me because you're
Which,
going to
by
get,
the way,
yeah.
something else that was pointed out, I think in this video, it could be a different one. Um, no, it was a different one. People in the C-suite have a legal, because the United States is a capitalist nation and they do everything they can for capitalism. They
Mm-hmm.
have made it now where if you're in the C-suite, you have a legal obligation to do what you can to increase the profits of your company.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best things you can possibly do is have fewer humans.
Yeah.
And so, yes, if you run a company, you are going to do that.
Yeah. But okay, so here's the flip side of the AI interviewing process, right? Like there is part of me that's like, that's actually a lot more efficient, but not as a freaking Zoom interview. Like maybe in the initial
I agree.
screening, like
Yeah.
instead of having people fill out these forms, right? Okay, well then have them hop on a phone call with your AI to capture that information, because your AI can capture that information, turn it into a transcript, and then there is your documented, like there's your text version of
Hmm.
an application, right? Because
Yeah.
right now they have AI going through resumes, looking through text. But the thing is, okay, they pull out keywords, but really there's the very high probability that you are getting rid of actual candidates that would be great for the position
They have
because you are
agency.
only looking for specific keywords,
I
or the
agree.
AI is
I,
only looking for specific keywords. And I think that is, and I know
I
fairness,
agree.
like when it comes to like, this is unfair, this is not right, that kind of stuff. Like there's such a gray area, because the argument could be said, but it is being fair because it's that same AI logic is being applied to all of them. It's not like we're picking and choosing which applications we're applying the
Well,
AI
except we
screening.
know AI has biases.
We know AI has biases, but also like you can only give it so many guardrails. And we've talked about this before. You can only give it so many guardrails and rules before they start contradicting each other. And then AI has to decide, well, which rule
How do I
is,
weight that?
yeah, which rule is the higher priority?
That's right. That's right.
So again, like I said, if I wanted to play devil's advocate, I could see, as a business owner, I can see the merits. I can see the pros, the possibilities of using an AI for those initial not even interviews, but like an initial application. Like
Right.
you can submit a, like you can type it in, you can fill out a form, or you can hop on a call with one of our AI assistants who will capture your responses. Because sometimes I would rather do that. Like I'd rather, yeah, no, I'm so much better at speaking than I am at typing things out. Like I can explain it better or whatever, or I feel more comfortable in one avenue than another. Providing it as an option, that I could see that being a possibility. But the fact that they've gone through the application process and then here they are getting dressed up because they think that they're having like an in-person or their version of an in-person interview with somebody in the company, but then it's an AI, like I think that's offensive.
I don't disagree at all.
So
Yes.
that's
So
my
we're
two
going to have a
cents.
lot more conversations about this
Yes.
moving forward.
I have a lot of
Um,
thoughts about this. I have a lot of feelings.
I want to hear them all. I really do. And I guess we'll continue this on Monday.
Yes. So I guess it'll be AI taking over the world part 2, right?
I think, yeah, part 2 through 150. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why not, right? Because I feel like
Yeah.
this is such it is such a relevant experience and topic because everyone is affected by this. Even if you think you aren't. You know how else you're affected? Do you go to the grocery store? Do you go shopping?
Yes.
Have you
Well, I have
noticed?
lots of groceries delivered, but yes.
Right. Okay. But when you go to the store,
Yeah.
have you noticed how much smaller the in-person cashiers,
Yes.
the staffing for
Yes.
in-person cashiers has become because and then how much more expanded the self-checkout is.
Yes. Yes. They literally just redid at the Walmart. Yeah.
And then what about those stores that do the scan as you go,
That's so
where
cool.
you walk
Yeah.
around and you pick an item and you put it in your bag or whatever, and then you tap it on your phone, but they are using AI algorithms to make sure that you're actually paying for all of the things that you take, because then you don't have to check out with a person. Like you're literally like
Yeah.
you're paying as you are
That's
picking
crazy. Yeah.
products off of the shelves.
Yeah.
And there are systems that know exactly what it is you took. And that's kind of scary. It's cool, but it's also kind of scary because then it's like, okay, but how, like, what's the mistake rate? Like, what is the percentage of mistakes that it makes where either it charges you twice or multiple times, or it doesn't charge you at all? And then now you're being accused of stealing. And it's like, no, no, no. It was your AI. Your AI was the one that was
Yeah.
wrong. Like, how do you handle that situation?
I think that's a great question. And I think we're going to have a lot of questions about things like that coming up.
Yep.
I don't know, but I love the question.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's so much. It's so
I know
cool.
there's so much. And
It's so cool.
I do have to get going now.
Oh, right. Okay, fine.
I'm sorry.
Fine. No.
But
Have
this
a
was
good
fun.
day.
This was a fun, like, invigorating conversation. And
I
I
agree.
feel like if other people have experiences and things to chime in on, like, definitely pop it into the chat or into the comments. Let us know, because I would love to
Yeah.
hear other people's experiences and thoughts too.
I would too. I really do.
Like, are
because
we in
this
an
is-
echo chamber here, or do other people
I
feel
want
the
to
same?
know. Yeah, I really want to know the answer to that
Yeah.
because that's why I'm literally asking everyone.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I want to know.
Yep.
So, okay.
All right.
Bye.
Well, thanks for tuning in, guys.